What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and it is time for the final mock draft ahead of tomorrow night's first round of the 2021 NFL entry draft. Now, normally, this is where I would do my plugs for both NerdTees at nerdtees.ca. Use that promo code BWFinest, as well as the Dynasty Trade Calculator. My affiliate link, of course, is in the description down below. We're going to speed through those things because, of course, the first round of the draft, as I just mentioned, is tomorrow night, so we are a little pressed for time. And as you'll notice, this is going to be a little more visually interesting than the previous few mock drafts that have been on this channel. We are going to be utilizing the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator in order to do our mock draft today. So obviously we are going to be taking a look here at every pick that's going to take place here in the first round, 1 through 32. That, of course, includes the real-world trades that have taken place that have moved San Francisco to number 3, Miami to number 6, the Eagles to number 12, as well as just recently the Baltimore Ravens picking up a second first-round pick, trading with Kansas City. This is mock draft 3.1, which means it is the final with trades mock draft that I will be producing, of course, before the first round tomorrow night. And there are some trades that we will be doing in this mock draft. There are going to be 6 of them, in fact. So let's go right ahead and dive in. And of course, the first 2 picks we're going to waste very little time on because pretty well everyone knows what they're going to be. Jacksonville starts things out on the clock. You can see, according to Pro Football Focus, 20 teams that may be interested in trading for this pick. It is certainly not going to happen. The Jacksonville Jaguars draft Trevor Lawrence first overall. Second overall, the New York Jets. Pretty well everybody is in on Zach Wilson being the number 2 overall pick here for the Jets, so we're going to go ahead and lock that one in as well. Now you got the San Francisco 49ers, who made that aggressive trade with Miami. Of course, it was a trade via the Houston Texans from beforehand. San Francisco moves up to number 3 overall. This is very blatantly a move for a quarterback. I think pretty well everyone is in agreement of that, even though, as Pro Football Focus notes here, they could go wide receiver, could go tight end, might be looking for some secondary help, but we're all pretty confident that they're going to go quarterback here. And I genuinely think Justin Fields is the proper play here on talent. I will listen to the Mac Jones arguments. I will listen to the Trey Lance arguments even, because there are a few of them out there. But as far as I'm concerned, Justin Fields will be the next quarterback in the quarterback room for Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. So let's go ahead and lock that in. Now, the fun part about using the Pro Football Focus simulator is that at the end of this mock draft, we're going to be able to sit down and have Pro Football Focus judge this mock draft. And I'm not just stalling for time because they're taking a little extra time here to draft Justin Fields. I've run into this issue before. But it's an interesting exercise because Pro Football Focus then at the end will be able to take a look and judge how this mock draft did, including the mock trades. We now move to the number 4 overall pick, currently held by the Atlanta Falcons, but we are going to go ahead and we are going to trade this draft pick. The Falcons have been heavily rumored to be shopping this pick. We are going to go ahead and execute a trade from Atlanta, and they are going to be trading with the New England Patriots here at pick number 15. They are certainly a team that is interested in number 4 in moving up for a quarterback. Now let's craft this trade. Obviously, the number 4 pick here is the big crux of this deal. Atlanta sending number 4 to New England. And in exchange for that, we are going to have the Patriots send the Falcons the 15th overall pick. We're also going to send them pick number 46. We're also going to send them pick number 120. And we're going to throw in the second round pick for next year, 2022. In New England's case, they very much expect that to be pick number 64 because they expect to win the Super Bowl pretty well every single year. We're going to go ahead and offer this deal again. Pick 4 for 15, 46, 120, and a second rounder next year. Pro Football Focus is going to evaluate that trade. May just take them an extra second here. And once this trade goes through, which I genuinely believe it will, interesting. That is a shocking turn of events that this trade would be declined. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to sweeten the pot here a little bit for the Atlanta Falcons because this does kind of hinge on this trade working. So we're going to add in for them the number 122 overall pick as well. I'm hesitant to move off of number 96, but we're going to go ahead with that added 5th draft pick and see if Atlanta will take the bait on this one. So by adding in pick number 122, the Falcons did in fact go for that deal, which moves the New England Patriots here to the 4th overall pick, which is exactly what we wanted. The Patriots are looking for a quarterback. They're going to get it in this position here. They're going to move down here, and Trey Lance is my guy to the New England Patriots at number 4 overall. Trey Lance goes to New England. Now we've got the Cincinnati Bengals here on deck for the 5th overall pick, and like with the previous pick, I'm actually going to have Cincinnati move off of this pick. This is a team that has a lot of needs, a lot of very specific needs, and they're going to be able to address them later on in the first round. Now, yes, they are in a position here to grab an elite wide receiver in Jamar Chase. They are in a position here to grab Kyle Pitts, which everyone in this draft is calling a unicorn, but it's going to be better, in my opinion, for the franchise to trade off of this pick. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to trade with the Carolina Panthers at pick number 8. So obviously picks 5 and 8 are the cruxes of this deal. The Panthers are going to be moving up here for a very specific need, but in order to make this deal work, they are also going to send pick number 73, pick number 151, as well as a 3rd round pick in next year's draft. So we are going to go ahead and offer this deal to Cincinnati and see, man, maybe I've undercut 2 deals in a row, but let's offer this trade and see if the Bengals take it in our virtual reality. They could not take that deal quickly enough, and that moves the Carolina Panthers to number 5 overall, where they are going to draft Penei Sewell out of Oregon. Like, look, they are the team in the top 10, they being the Panthers, who are most desperately in need of that franchise starting left tackle. That's what Penei Sewell could be as quickly as this season. So we're going to have Penei Sewell go to the Panthers at 5. Pick number 6, we got the Miami Dolphins on deck here, and what a steal for the Dolphins. Jamar Chase from LSU dropping down to number 6 to Miami. They need a weapon. If Tua's going to be the guy, let Tua be the guy, and this is just the guy to allow Tua to be the guy. What a great 1-2-3 Miami's going to potentially have here. Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, and now Jamar Chase, who we are going to take in Miami at number 6 overall. Number 7 here belongs to the Detroit Lions, and it is going to be a bit of a bitter pill to swallow to see Jamar Chase go just in front of them. But look at the wide receiver options that they've got here now, Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddell. So obviously Pro Football Focus ranks Devonta Smith a bit higher in this equation. I feel bad for Kyle Pitts, but I mean, look, they've got TJ Hawkinson in Detroit. They're not going to be drafting Kyle Pitts. I personally am higher on Jalen Waddell as a wide receiver prospect than I am Devonta Smith. It's really, really close, but I'm just a little bit higher on Jalen Waddell. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to draft Jalen Waddell to the Detroit Lions at number 7 overall. We will make that move, and now we come back to the Cincinnati Bengals at number 8. Now, once again here, nobody could blame the Cincinnati Bengals for staying right here. Look at the weapons that are available here. Kyle Pitts and Devonta Smith. Those are two incredible weapons that would make Joe Burrow significantly better. But we all know what the glaring problem is on the Cincinnati Bengals. It's the offensive line. Now, they could stay in this spot and I think get basically exactly the player that they want, but there's going to be teams that are seeing Kyle Pitts fall, that are seeing Devonta Smith fall, and are going to get squirrely to make a move for their unicorn or their wide receiver of the future. We are going to, for a second time, trade the Cincinnati Bengals pick. The Bengals are going to move down, and they're going to move down with the Philadelphia Eagles at number 12. So once again, picks number 8 and 12 are going to be the ones that are the crux of this deal. The Eagles are going to add in pick number 70 as well as a 4th round selection next year to move up these 4 spots. We're going to see if Cincinnati takes this deal. I get the feeling based off that first one that maybe this one might get rejected and we may need to massage this one a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and offer this deal and see if Cincinnati will take it to move down. They did, in fact, take it. I'm not going to lie. That was a little bit of a surprise, but the Eagles move up from 12 to 8, and the Eagles are not going to pass on Kyle Pitts here. Yes, they've got Zach Ertz still in their tight end room. Yes, they've got Dallas Goedert still in their tight end room, but this Kyle Pitts kid is going to be something special in this league. You can deploy him in so many interesting ways, and it makes the Eagles offensively much more dangerous for a young quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Give him as many weapons as you can. I think they've got decent protection, but now you got to give them some weapons. And we're going to go ahead and grab Devonta Smith. Sorry, we're going to go ahead and grab Kyle Pitts. Misspeak there. Kyle Pitts for the Eagles at number 8 overall. Broncos are on the clock now at number 9, and this has been one of my most solid picks since I started doing these mock drafts. Micah Parsons is exactly what the Denver Broncos need at the linebacker position. I'm not sold on them going quarterback, so Micah Parsons is 100% going to be the pick here. As much as, again, some people are sort of turned off by the off-the-field issues, hopefully those have been resolved. I think Micah Parsons is going to be an excellent Bronco. That's where he's going to go. We come up now to the Dallas Cowboys here at pick number 10, and in terms of fulfilling the need that they have, they can afford to move back here, and there's going to be a team in the next couple of picks that's going to want to leapfrog over the teams that are ahead of them in order to get the specific player that they want. The Dallas Cowboys are going to make a deal with the Los Angeles Chargers at number 13 overall, so obviously picks 10 and 13 are the cruxes of this deal. The Chargers going to add in pick number 77 as well as a 4th round pick in 2022 in order to make this deal. We're going to go ahead and offer this deal to the Dallas Cowboys, 10 in exchange for 13, 77, and a 4th rounder next year. Now, Dallas declined that deal, which means if you're a Los Angeles, now you got to kind of spice this deal up a little bit. So we could move that 4th rounder to a 3rd rounder potentially. That feels like giving up a lot. So maybe what we might do is we might just tack on one of our late round picks here, like maybe a 6th, see if that's going to work out. If not, we'll probably move that 6 to a 5 and see if that deal works. So we're going to go ahead and offer this deal to Dallas. That deal they did wind up taking for the added 6th round pick, so that's no problem. We'll just make sure we add that into our notes here. So now we have the LA Chargers on the clock at number 10, and that move was specifically made to ensure that Christian Darrisaw, the best remaining pure tackle in this draft, does not get away from them, because you could see a potential where the Giants could go that way. You could see a potential where the Bengals could even go that way. So we're going to go ahead and grab our guy, Christian Darrisaw, number 10 overall, to the LA Chargers. Number 11 here, we got the New York Giants. I've got the Giants staying put where they are. And look, I've talked about it a couple of times. The Giants, the thing that they have been looking for specifically for the last couple of years is their edge rusher of the future. Kwity Paye is that guy in this draft. I think Kwity Paye is a legitimate top 15, potential top 10 talent. I realize Pro Football Focus has him ranked significantly lower than that, but Kwity Paye is my guy here. I think he's a perfect fit for the Giants in what they're trying to do on the defensive line. We're going to draft Kwity Paye to the New York Giants at number 11, and I genuinely think that's where he belongs based on talent. Now you got the Bengals up by virtue of their couple of deals. They're at number 12. They're going to sit here at number 12 because the player that they want is now flush towards the top of their board, and that is Rashawn Slater. Yes, he's listed here as a tackle, but he played a lot at Northwestern on the interior of the offensive line, and that's really where Cincinnati's weakness is, a complete inability basically to run the ball up the middle or protect their new franchise quarterback. So we're going to have them grab Rashawn Slater at number 12 to help insulate. I mean, he could start for the Bengals this year on the interior of their O-line. Now, Dallas did just see a great offensive lineman go in front of them. I had sort of thought, and I even did it in my mock draft 3.0, had Dallas go on the offensive line. It was tough for me to get away from the concept that, like, this Dallas team, this defense is bad. Like, this defense needs help. And Patrick Surtain, as the best defensive back available on my list, sitting right there for the Cowboys. They were able to move back and still get the caliber of player that they were looking for. We're going to go ahead and draft Patrick Surtain to the Dallas Cowboys at number 13 overall. Now we got the Minnesota Vikings up at number 14, and they're an interesting case where I think they're kind of in the same position as the Cincinnati Bengals. I think there's a number of needs on this team. They can still address those needs by moving back a couple of spots, which I think they're going to do here, and they should have a pretty willing trade partner considering what player has been sliding down the draft board. A pretty willing trade partner right there in the Arizona Cardinals. Minnesota and Arizona are going to swing a deal swapping picks 14 and 16. I'm sorry, I think I had some information I left in there from a potential other deal that I had been working on with a different team. I left that information in there, those couple of extra picks from Minnesota. That would have made absolutely no sense to do. So, forget what I just said. Don't listen to what I said. Listen to what I'm saying. So, here we go. This is the actual deal. The Vikings sending 14 to Arizona in exchange for 16 and a third-round pick next year. That sounds a little more reasonable than trading away a third-round pick and another pick in exchange to just get a magic bean for next year. We're going to go ahead and offer this deal, and I will try to regain my composure. The Arizona Cardinals attempting to move up to number 14, and they are able to do so with that deal. They're going to grab Devonta Smith here. He is an excellent weapon for Kyler Murray, and where he'd been falling a little bit down the board, it was opportunistic for Arizona to move up and grab that player. Now we've got the Falcons here at number 15. Again, they've gained some draft equity via that trade with the New England Patriots, picking up picks 46 and 120, as well as 122 and a second rounder next year, which is going to help them out. The Falcons are in absolute cap hell right now. So they added those pieces, and they can still address one of the biggest areas of need that this team has, which is on the offensive line, specifically the interior of the offensive line. Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be able to play almost anywhere on this Falcons offensive line. I understand that the O-line is not listed as one of the major needs here by Pro Football Focus, but trust me when I say this team is so bad at running the football, and they still had a top 5 pass offense, despite the fact that their offensive line, aside from Jake Matthews, I guess, was pretty darn bad. So we're going to go ahead and insulate that offensive line with Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC, number 15 overall, to the Falcons. And again, the Vikings are perfectly okay making that move, because as much as they could use help on the offensive line, and a player like Elijah Vera Tucker would have been a good choice for them. What they really need is a more pure tackle, and they're going to be able to fulfill that with Tevin Jenkins. He's ranked very, very low here by Pro Football Focus. This is a top 20 talent all day long as far as I'm concerned, and the Vikings are going to be able to still fill the need and get a little draft equity back in return. So they're going to go ahead and grab Tevin Jenkins there right behind Atlanta at number 16. Now we got a little bit of time to go by here before we have another pick trade. So the next block of picks, 17 through 24, just a bit of a spoiler here, there's not going to be any trading. So we'll try to fire through these picks a little bit quicker. We got the Raiders here at 17. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah falling to them at 17 is an absolute gift. Do not believe this ADP. This guy's got the opportunity to be one of the next great linebackers in the NFL as far as I'm concerned. It's not listed as a need here, but he's probably the best defensive player that I have left on my board. So Owusu-Koramoah goes to the Raiders. Then you got Miami back up at 18. They fulfilled the wide receiver need. Now we're going to go on the defensive side of the ball, and we are going to look on the defensive line. We're going to grab Jalen Phillips, edge defender from Miami of Florida, so he ain't going to have to go very far. Once again, these kind of look like reaches if you're going just by Pro Football Focus's metrics. I'm going by multiple metrics from multiple different resources. I really like Jalen Phillips. I think he's a really good fit in Miami. Next up, you got the Washington football team, and even though you got Mac Jones sitting right there, and it may be very tempting for Washington to make a play for the next franchise quarterback, I don't have them doing it in this mock. I've got them going for a player that a lot of teams, and certainly earlier in this draft process, considered Caleb Farley to be like a top 10 talent prospect. Once again, I know it's not listed here as a need on the defensive side, but Caleb Farley, I think, is just too talented a player to let him continue to fall. So we're going to have Washington grab Farley at 19. That leaves Mac Jones available to the quarterback factory itself, the Chicago Bears. Bear down, Mac Jones coming to Chicago at 20. Now, number 21, we got the Indianapolis Colts. I have long felt that what the Colts really needed was on the offensive line, because look at Jonathan Taylor. How could you not give Jonathan Taylor every opportunity to succeed by grabbing an elite first-round offensive lineman? I don't necessarily know that they're in position to do that right now without really heavily reaching, and I just didn't see a natural trade back position for them. Everyone is calling for a new wide receiver option in Indianapolis, even though they've got T.Y., even though they got Pittman, even though they got Paris Campbell. I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to go Rashad Bateman here out of Minnesota. PFF lists wide receiver as their number one need, so let's go ahead and fulfill that and grab Rashad Bateman. Tennessee at 22. I've gone Trayvon Moehrig in this spot a bunch for Tennessee, but I think, and it certainly is indicated here, they probably need a little more help on the outside than they do at safety. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab J.C. Horn. He's the best cornerback listed through Pro Football Focus. He's the best one left on my personal board. So J.C. Horn going to go to Tennessee. Jets are back up here at 23. I'm going to have them go on the defensive side now that they've got their quarterback of the future. I really like edge rusher Azeez Ojulari here out of Georgia. Once again, we're going a bit ahead of Pro Football Focus's ADP, but I think he fits the need the best, better than a guy like Jason Owe. I think he's a better talent than Jason Owe. So we're going to grab Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia to go to the New York Jets. Then you got the Steelers at 24. Steelers need offensive line help in a big bad way. I know these guys rank Walker Little here, but they're like the only resource that has that kind of faith in Walker Little. I really like Dylan Raduns out of North Dakota State. He's got experience blocking for an elite quarterback. I think that's going to do him a lot of good in Pittsburgh. So Dylan Raduns goes to Pittsburgh at 24. Now we're to the 25th overall pick, currently held by the Jacksonville Jaguars, but as we mentioned before, the Baltimore Ravens made that deal to acquire the number 31 pick from Kansas City. Clearly, they're not scared to make a deal, and they're going to make another one here, assuming Pro Football Focus will consider them an option, and they will. So, the Baltimore Ravens, I want them to move. Let's see. Pick number 31 that they just acquired from the Kansas City Chiefs. Jacksonville, of course, moving pick number 25. Now, in order to make this work, we're going to have the Ravens also send Jacksonville pick number 94, which they also acquired from Kansas City. And we're also going to have them move we're going to have them move a 5th round pick next year and see if Jacksonville will take that deal to move back 6 spots. So Jacksonville declined that deal. So instead of the 5th rounder, let's go with a 4th and see if they will take the 4th. There we go. That was the difference that it took. So we have the Baltimore Ravens at pick number 25. They're going to move up for Trayvon Moehrig, a player that I am insanely high on. I think he's a great fit in Baltimore. Trayvon Moehrig going to go to Baltimore at 25, and a better landing spot I don't think there is. Cleveland Browns up next at 26, and they are going to fulfill their single biggest need, which is the defensive interior. I said this in Mock Draft 3.0, which was an exclusive to my Twitter, which is when you grab Christian Barmore, this defensive line becomes undeniable. You're talking about just some killers on their defensive line, which is going to cause trouble for everybody for years to come. Christian Barmore goes to Cleveland at 26. Baltimore back up here at 27, and I have been beating the drum for Terrace Marshall. I think he is the wide receiver that fits their scheme the best. Terrace Marshall goes to Baltimore. Now we got number 28. We got the New Orleans Saints. I went linebacker for them in the 3.0 mock draft that I put on Twitter. It wasn't Nick Bolton. It was Zaven Collins was the way I went for them. I'm going to change it up a little bit here. I've become higher on Greg Newsome. The more tape of his I've watched and the more I've read about him, I think he fits a more direct need. It's pretty well even, but I think Greg Newsome is a good fit here, and he's a player that is a value play for the New Orleans Saints. So let's go ahead and grab Greg Newsome at 28. Up next is my Green Bay Packers at pick number 29. We are definitely going wide receiver here so that the fan base does not murder me. And I personally think Kadarius Toney is the best fit. He's a little bit bigger than some of the other wide receivers. Green Bay has a bit of a bias against drafting undersized receivers. So we're going to go ahead and grab Kadarius Toney for Green Bay at number 29. Just 3 picks left here with the Buffalo Bills now on the clock at number 30. This is definitely going to be a defensive player all day long. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's Asante Samuel Jr. I don't quite think Jason Owe fits the scheme very well, but we're going to go ahead and grab Asante Samuel Jr. Makes that secondary better. And if you're going to win the AFC, you're going to need to make your secondary better, because look at some of the quarterbacks you're going to have to go through. So Asante Samuel Jr. going to go to Buffalo at 30. Now, of course, we've got Jacksonville back up at 31, and this is where the Jason Owe slander will end. I think he's an excellent fit for the Jags on the exterior as an edge rusher. I think he makes their whole defense better. I know they're kind of calling for safety here. I think they need help there less than they do on the defensive line. So Jason Owe goes to Jacksonville. The last pick that we have here, of course, the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pro Football Focus thinks they should consider going quarterback, which would be a very interesting development. But I'm going to go ahead and grab Gregory Rousseau here. I think edge rusher, once again, makes their whole defense better. He's an excellent prospect. I know there's a lot of conversation around Gregory Rousseau, around the fact that he opted out last year. There's going to be calls for Zaven Collins in this spot, and I will understand them. But Gregory Rousseau is going to be my final pick for this mock draft 3.1, and now we'll be able to move on to see how Pro Football Focus thinks I did in this mock draft. So obviously those top 4 picks, they think it's an A plus across the board. And now things kind of get a little interesting. The Penny Sewell trade, they only, or pick, I should say, they only gave a B to. So, I mean, that's acceptable, but I think they're kind of underrating Penny Sewell there. Jamar Chase, only a C plus to the Miami Dolphins. That is an interesting evaluation of that pick. Waddell, they thought was an A plus pick. They appreciated my trade here. The trade wound up being a B plus. We got A's, B pluses, F's. Wow. I've never seen F's. I've done this a few times and I've gotten a couple of D's, but I've never, ever, oh my God, the F's continue. Okay, so Pro Football Focus, very clearly not a fan of some of the ways that I went about doing this. They were fine with the trades, but they weren't exactly fine with the players that resulted from some of the trades. Wow, Darisaw F, Pay F, Slater F, Surtain D-, Devonta Smith only a C+. They really liked that trade and really liked the Vera Tucker pick that came from the Falcons. They were okay with that trade. They were okay with the pick. We got some B's. Only a C+ here for Caleb Farley to Washington. Very interesting. Pro Football Focus kind of putting me on blast there. But I think we finished strong. Yeah, relatively good. We finished relatively strong there with the exception of a C+ for Gregory Rousseau. So once again, I'll just scroll back down through this relatively slowly as I do the outro. There you have it, folks. That is my final mock draft for 2021. We've got the first round of the NFL draft coming up tomorrow evening. I know I will be watching with bated breath. I hope you enjoy it. I very certainly will. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. Fueled, as always, of course, by the incredible folks at NerdTees, as well as the Dynasty Trade Calculator. Enjoy the first round of the NFL Draft.